All right, so the next item coming forward for the board's information is an update regarding our strategic plan and thinking of actually now beyond Destination 2025. It's hard to believe we're rolling upon the expiration of our current strategic plan. So Mrs. Coy and Dr. Hinton are here to provide us that overview.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Cashwell. We are pleased this afternoon to bring forward a presentation about the HCPS strategic plan. And I'm here, as Dr. Cashwell mentioned, joined by Dr. Tiffany Hinton, our Director of the Department of Assessment, Research, and Evaluation. So today we're going to provide a bit of a historical perspective on the creation of our current plan, Destination 2025, and an overview of our anticipated work in the coming year as we prepare to bring stakeholders together to inform a new iteration of our strategic plan. As with the previous endeavor, we envision this to be a highly collaborative effort which will involve the board, students, families, staff, and the community as we strive to build on the success of Destination 2025. Our presentation today includes an overview of the timeline and some of the processes by which we'll gather that feedback and bring updates and drafts back to you for your consideration and input. And so now I'll turn it over to Dr. Hinton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Cashwell. In 2017-18, Henrico County Public Schools undertook a comprehensive effort to craft a strategic plan for 2018 through 2025, which is known as Destination 2025. The creation of the plan included diverse stakeholders and a variety of feedback mechanisms. Throughout that year, the HCPS community participated in focus groups, community input events, work groups, online public comments, surveys, and a public hearing to share their input on what the school division was doing well and how we could improve. A key component of the creation of Destination 2025 was the Strategic Plan Steering Committee, which included representation from students, families, staff, and community members across all magisterial districts, as well as 2 school board representatives. This committee examined school division data and used community feedback to create the plan's strategic goals, action steps, and progress metrics. Since adoption of the plan in 2018, the steering committee has met annually to review the plan and ensure progress towards our goals. Any proposed revisions have been taken to the school board for consideration and approval. I would like to take a moment to express our gratitude to Ms. Kinsella and Ms. Shea for your ongoing commitment and service to the Strategic Plan Steering Committee. Your dedication and insights have been instrumental in shaping the progress of our school division over the past 6 years. Also, a warm welcome to Mr. Irving, our new school board representative on this committee. We are looking forward to our collaboration with you and Ms. Shea in our planning efforts as we move forward in this process. Our current plan will guide us through the spring of 2025. However, we want to share an overview of the process for the creation of a new strategic plan, which will be adopted by the 2025-26 school year. The plan development process will continue to be a collaborative effort between all stakeholders within the HCPS community and will build upon the successes of Destination 2025. Throughout the remainder of the school year, a range of activities is underway to set the foundation for the development of the 2025-2030 plan. This fall, division leadership began the process of defining key planning components, and throughout the winter, we'll work on drafting HCPS's vision, mission, and core values. In January, staff will begin conducting focus groups with each school board and superintendent advisory committee, along with other essential community partners, to gather valuable insights into HCPS's strengths and areas for improvement. To capture additional community perspectives, annual stakeholder surveys will be conducted in February. This feedback will be instrumental in the fall and winter of 2024, when the new Strategic Plan Steering Committee will be tasked with refining the strategic plan components and identifying strategic goals. The draft plan will be shared with the HCPS community in the spring of 2025 and feedback will be used to further refine the plan before seeking school board approval. The new 2025-2030 strategic plan will be launched beginning in the summer of 2025. As we gather insights in the coming months, our attention will center on 3 key areas. First, we'll explore foundational principles, diving into how HCPS's vision, mission, and core values align with community expectations and needs. Next, we'll focus on identifying current successes and practices that work well, seeking ideas to enhance and build upon them. Finally, we'll engage the community in discussions about the challenges and opportunities facing our school division. This input will shape the strategic plan, aiming to elevate the student experience and contribute to overall community well-being. This spring, we'll kick off the recruitment and selection process for the steering committee. Following our past approach, members will be chosen through applications and a blind scoring method, considering factors such as stakeholder group representation, experience, and objectivity in responses. The committee's composition will guarantee representation from each magisterial district and encompass diverse stakeholder perspectives. Additional details about committee recruitment and selection will be provided later this year. This concludes our presentation. We look forward to our next update towards the end of the school year, where we'll share the results of the HCPS survey and focus groups and announce the members of the selected steering committee. At this time, we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I will start with Mrs. Shea.
Oh, goody, thank you. I want to thank you for the presentation. I want to start by thanking my colleague, Ms. Kinsella, for all of her work on the strategic plan. Not only has have we served together as the board member for the last 4 years, but she was involved even before she was on the board, on the steering committee, in the early development of the plan. So, Ms. Kinsella, you've been really instrumental in getting us to 2025. I know you will be instrumental getting us beyond, but thank you for your years and years of dedication to this plan. I just want to, 2 quick pieces. I want to offer praise for the progress that this plan has made in the last 4 years. I think about kind of the form it was when it was a baby initially, and just how much more digestible it is, how much edu-speak we took out of it, the revamp of the website, so it really is accessible not only in language, but also in kind of its presentation. And so it's been a real delight to see the modifications and the fact that it really has been kind of a living, breathing document that has been tweaked to best meet the needs of our students, and that also Dr. Cashwell has really used it as the plan going forward, and continue to tie things back to the initiatives in the strategic plan to show evidence that this has been our steering document. So praise for all of that. I'm excited that we will continue to use community involvement. I saw in the steering committee, will we also be launching, I know last time it was, I can just imagine a really big lift doing all of those work groups, but do we foresee having some of those similar community work groups for the subcommittees?
Yes, so once the steering committee is formed and starts their work this fall, they'll come up with the strategic goals, and then we'll create some work groups around each of those goals to determine kind of the more detailed plans of how we're going to achieve those.
Awesome. I think that's so important. And I think it casts a wide net for some of our community members that may not have been involved in some of our groups before, because there's so much opportunity for input. I'm excited to see kind of what community members come forward to participate, since there's so many opportunities. And then just one question, you mentioned doing the feedback survey in February in order to inform this. Is this going to be the same as our typical annual survey just done earlier, or is this an additional survey?
It's the same survey, but we've added some additional questions to get at some of the kind of the overarching components of our plan, such as vision, mission, and core values, trying to see where the community is in terms of those kind of big picture items. So it's the same survey, we've just added a few things.
Well, I'm very glad to hear it's not an additional survey, because I know it's already a lift to try to get kind of a critical mass of response to the annual survey anyway. It'll also be really interesting to see if moving it earlier, since as Ms. Kinsella's brought forth with the survey many times, as our school year has moved earlier, if moving the survey earlier also will give both our building leaders and our central office level leaders kind of more time to reflect on the outcomes of that survey and how the timeliness of that will mesh together. So that'll be kind of an unintended benefit or consequence. We'll wait and see so that we can evaluate moving forward. That is all from me. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mrs. Kinsella.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I have served on this committee even since before I was on the board, and I certainly have enjoyed the work and watch, and I'm proud of the baby that has grown, per you, Mrs. Shea. I cannot underscore enough the importance of a strategic plan, because it truly, for us, is the roadmap the division follows. Everything goes back to it. The budget, which that's one of, outside of the website improvements, how you, I guess at later stages in the budget, how everything, well, even today's budget, right? It's even done by the strategic plan, right? Our major goals. So I'm just proud of how far it's come, and that you've remained committed to it. Not only did we make a plan, but we actually follow the plan, and we have metrics, and the board receives updates, and then we give feedback, and things actually happen in response to the feedback that we give and that we get. So really, I can't wait to see where this goes. I have one question regarding our last meeting, which was March 2023, where we had a round robin session. Are we going to use some of the feedback gathered there as we move forward, or are we just going to disregard that? Because I can't imagine we would disregard the work that we did that day. Just a question.
Yes, so we have all of that documentation of the work that we did last year, as well as kind of this year when we meet with the steering committee, we're going to be doing kind of the same protocol that we're doing with the other superintendent and school board advisory committees, gathering their feedback into the process.
Thank you for that. And then I just, as to Mrs. Shea's point, really the fact that all of our stakeholders should be involved and giving feedback in numerous ways. I found, remembering some of the focus groups, I know we have a student, at least one or two typically on the steering committee, but the student feedback was extraordinary last time, and I would expect that they would bring extraordinary feedback this time as well. And I thank the students for giving it readability that makes sense, without all the acronyms and without all the things that people just lose interest in because they don't understand it. So just thank you for this presentation of a timeline of what to expect. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Kinsella. Mr. Young.
Thank you for your presentation. My only ask is if we could get some of the information that happened in the fall of 2023. If I could get that, that would be extremely helpful to me. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Irving.
I would, yes, first of all, thank you for giving the presentation. I would second what Mr. Young said about just requiring that information. Maybe that's something I'll receive being on this committee. Having said that, I am certainly excited to be a part of this process moving forward so we can set the next strategic plan. I think it's extremely important to have an idea of where you want to go before you figure out how you're going to get there. And I think, you know, being pragmatic about how we get there and using metrics, like Ms. Kinsella said, to make sure that we're measuring our success throughout the way is extremely important. And I just, you know, look forward to those future endeavors.
Thank you, Mr. Irving. I also want to just take a moment to thank Mrs. Kinsella for her passion and sharing her expertise even before she received the title, because that's how deep she wants the division to have a roadmap in moving forward and making sure that not only the superintendent, but the staff, school board, and school communities have a stake in the future, which is our children. Additionally, I have a few questions around the application form. Do students have access to that form electronically as well as paper?
Yes, so the form will be available. We'll be communicating that through all of our typical communication mechanisms, and we can certainly provide a paper copy.
So will students actually receive a memo, if you will, through the Schoology? So is there a direct way that we're going to give this application to students, not necessarily through their parents, through Parent Square or some other avenue, but is there a way for them to receive the message directly?
Yes, we can certainly send it through Schoology to them.
I would ask for you to consider that so that, our students can take ownership and accountability as well without it having to go through other channels. So thank you for consideration of that. The second question that I have is around the process in which we select folks. So individuals will use the form. Once the form is received, can you tell me a little bit more or have more details on how we're selecting the individuals that are going to be on these steering committees?
So we haven't worked through all of those details yet. I can speak to the process that we used last time. We had a blind scoring process, meaning that we removed the identifiers of the individuals, and we had two different people look at those applications and kind of score them using a rubric. We looked for things like representing a variety of groups. So if you were a parent and a community member and maybe a staff member, you had a lot of different experiences. We also looked at a variety of experiences across the county, as well as making sure that we had representation from our student groups that we're monitoring, like our English learners, our students with disabilities, like we had a teacher who is a teacher of students with disabilities on our committee. So we're looking for a wide representation, making sure that we have representation across magisterial districts, but also across various groups.
Thank you for sharing that. Once you get further into the process and have clarity around that rubric and how individuals are being scored, I'd love to see that, and as well as my colleagues, if you would share it with all of us, so we have a better understanding of the makeup of the committees to ensure the equity and all of those things. And let's see. And then the last item I have for you for consideration is around PTAs and making sure that we communicate with our PTA groups. That's a great source in getting folks to participate and be engaged. Even if you're not selected, let's make sure that we continue to offer ways for folks to still be engaged. And I think there's a variety of ways. So I offer that to you for your consideration. Other than that, I'm ever so grateful. This board is grateful for all the work that has been done, and we know all the work to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Dr.
you
Cashwell.
again for the presentation related to what's next for the next iteration of strategic plan. Look forward to that journey.